Welcome to another episode of the Profitable Property Management Show. I am your step-in host, Ray Hessman, and I have a very special and unique guest with me today. The normal host of the Profitable Property Management podcast, Mr. Jordan Whala.
Thanks for having me on, Ray.
You know what?
Long-time fan.
Hey, long time. This is your first time as a listener?
It is. It is.
Awesome. Well, you and I had a brief conversation. I'm super excited. I'm over here in Austin. I get to come and hang out and see you in your beautiful city. But we kind of had a plan to get into having a conversation, and you kind of pitched something a little bit interesting to me about, maybe flipping the script a little bit and have
First
me
time.
talk to you.
First time.
So I think there's something like interesting to like how to basically like frame up this conversation. And it is, you have some changes that are coming into your business that we're going to unpack, but I think it would be a little obtuse to try and explain to the viewers without first telling what this news is.
Yeah, man. Big news. After 14 years in seat running LeadSimple, man, 14 years, I'm passing the torch. I'm passing the torch to a new leader, new CEO.
This is big news, first of all.
For me, it is.
Because you're kind of Jordan Whala LeadSimple. Like, that's your whole name.
Is it hyphenated?
Yeah, well, we're progressive here, yes. I think the very interesting thing, I've obviously been fortunate enough to get to know you in the space. I've been in 10 years and you were clearly before me. I've gotten to see you do some different things, right? But I think there was always kind of like this home base of business that you've been on. So obviously I was familiar with the conferences that you were run. I think it was PM Grow. I think you were doing Rent Scale. You've been part of Profit Coach. And when we first met, actually, I was talking about you were almost in a little bit of a sabbatical of LeadSimple, but it was always LeadSimple. And so LeadSimple has always been, you've always been at the helm and always been the home. And why?
Well, you make a great reference. You said this last night when we were catching up, that when I met you, I was out of the business. That was a multi-year period where I stepped out. We were doing a significant technical rebuild. I started some other businesses, and then I came back in, and I've been on this more recent run in seat for 5.5 years, 14 years total. Why? Why now? Why not do this indefinitely? Boy, thought about that a lot. And the short reason is that ultimately, my loyalty and my fidelity is to the company. It's not to having a certain role or it looking a certain way. Like, my loyalty is like, what is going to make the boat move the fastest? What is going to support the company? And at this point in time, I came to the determination that it was time to pass the torch. It was time to bring in somebody that could take it further than I can. I've taken it as far as I can. I'm really proud of what I've built. But I see this thing still has further to go, and I want to see it go as far as it can.
You know, it's as an entrepreneur, one of the hardest things is you almost have to be naive to the feedback that you can't do something for a very long period of time.
Or else you never would have started it.
Well, and even to just almost like a delusional sense. The whole entire world is saying you cannot do it. But at the same time, as you get more mature in it and CEO seat and even just general leadership seats is like really trying to understand the moment, like when you should really be the person who almost acknowledges that maybe there's somebody better, or maybe there's a next chapter that maybe I'm not equipped to. And so not saying that is why you have, that's part of the reason why talking about this, but I think it's interesting. You're almost forced to be delusionally focused on it, but it sounds like you've had some of this clarity and thought process around, you see it bigger, and we sometimes can see some people that can do it a little bit better than us. Is there something that really stood out to you that said, maybe I'm not the person to take it to this next big chapter? Is it out of motivation? Is it out of skill set?
Yeah, so I think a lot of it had to do with working with this person that is taking over as an idea or a concept that would have felt different. But working in the trenches with Chris Wynn, who's going to be stepping up and taking over, that time we had together of a year plus was a big part of the kind of progressive, like, this person's doing well. They're making the same similar decisions that I would make. They're turning around things that needed to get turned around. And when I think about what's wanted and needed in this next leg of the journey, I see skills, capabilities, and in many ways, a fresh set of legs to go the next stretch. I mean, I can't believe I've been doing this for 14 years.
I can't either. Like, I just realized I passed my tenure and I'm like, you've been doing this 4 years longer. Like, mine feels like an eternity. What does 14 feel like?
So, yeah, I mean, when you put yourself in that mental mode about thinking doing this for another 4 years, like the nature of the work has a lot of rigor, and I have embraced that from day one. There's no complaining here,
Hmm.
but eh, there's strain in the seat.
It's like I think about that day because it is inevitably coming for me at a certain point, right? Like whether it be I'm 80 years old and like I gotta friggin' I can't make it 10 minutes before bathroom breaks or something like that, or kind of coming to a similar realization. Maybe getting a little personal here, but I think, when you have that much time, like your baby is older than your babies,
Mm,
right?
wow.
Like this thing has existed as a huge part of your identity and your focus for longer than you've had obviously the most important aspects of your life, which is
Hmm.
your kids. To me, that seems a lot harder of a concept for me to grasp. But you're actually doing it and having this moment. So, I mean, tell me what that whole journey of realizing your baby, you don't get to call the shots anymore.
Oh man, yeah, yeah. I've been feeling some of that. I've been feeling some of the time to hand over the keys, and it's like, yeah,
Like,
I'd like to keep a couple of the keys. Can I hold on to like three or four of them?
so, nope. And it's your baby, it's your car that you love, and they're burning the clutch on the way out. No, I'm kidding. Obviously, you've got a little bit of try before you buy, but it's like, yeah, your beautiful vehicle.
Mhm.
I'd like to hang on to some control. And it's like that doesn't exist.
It really doesn't. I mean, imagine having somebody sitting over you, quarterbacking the decisions that you're making day to day. Like it just isn't functional. Obviously, there's governance, there's oversight, accountability. Those things are healthy and appropriate. But the leader, the CEO, has to have the mandate and leeway to set the vision, to chart the course. And the reality is, there is style, temperament, disposition that's not right, wrong. It's just different.
Yeah.
Chris's leadership is going to be different than mine. Wynn's going to make a bunch of different decisions than me. And net, I'm very excited about that. And I also recognize that there are pieces of what I have built that I'm just kind of attached to. And I like it because I like it. I like doing things a certain way. And
Yeah.
there's some letting go and just realizing like, I am not the business. Even though it feels that way, I have separation from it, like, my ego, my identity cannot be one-to-one connected.
Well, and I think that speaks to your maturity. I think you've been much more of a serial entrepreneur. So for me, who's probably had a little too much of my identity tied up into this, I'm just fanatical about this problem. You've done a really good job at being interested in all aspects of property management. I think that's actually what's given LeadSimple such a great
Hmm,
footing is you've been on the CRM, the revenue, the lead generation, the P&L, and you've gotten to expose some of this.
hmm.
Um, so even though it's not the only appendage, it is a appendage that you've been strongly attached to for 14 years. Um, Gentleman's name is Chris,
Mm.
right?
Chris Wynn.
Chris Wynn. Chris, welcome to the Thunderdome, buddy. um,
He's been in the seat before, that's the good news.
yeah, well, and the nice thing is people that have been doing it before, knowing how to lead on stuff like that. There's things that obviously you and I both know from never being the CEO is like there's some really painful learnings that V2, whenever that happens, you're like, I'm gonna make 75% less mistakes.
I'm gonna make new mistakes.
Yeah, completely new ones. Ones that come with hubris and of thinking you've got it, but that's really great. And so, like, what do you think is going to be probably some of the biggest changes in and I recognize you've got a great and loyal and amazing fan base in your product. But what do you anticipate, as the customers are looking out and being like, "Oh my goodness, what's going to change?"
Mm,
Like, you've got to have some sort of idea and thought process around, how that
mm.
vision and stuff is going to go. And what do you think is going to be the biggest difference for the Lead Simple organization moving
Yeah.
forward?
So two questions. One is like customer facing, one is internally, and they're related. What I noticed is that in this moment, the cresting wave of AI, all of the hype, all of the energy, and I do think there's some hype there, but unlike crypto, it was kind of surreal to go through back to back hype trains. Crypto went all the way up and then kind of crashed, and now AI is all the way up. I do not believe that AI is going to crash like crypto
Or Web3 or
or
whatever. What's the real estate that people were buying on Meta?
blockchain.
Meta's real
Oh
estate.
yeah,
Oh,
uh-huh.
billions of dollars in real estate.
I do not believe that AI is that. Do I think that there's going to be some disappointing outcomes for how some of the capital got deployed? Yes, but on the whole, I'm a believer that AI is going to have a durable impact on society, businesses, etc. So seeing that and seeing what's wanted and needed to fully make that play and to enable all that it can be and mean for our customers, I really felt that we needed a deeply technical, deeply convicted leader about that specific thing and its next wave and iteration.
Bro, I will tell you, just as from my own personal experience, getting to bring more of those team members in, it's amazing how that thought process translates to education. And when education aligns with great product
Mhm.
minds, there's really cool things that you can do that you're like, wow, wasn't even thinking about that. So I understand that thought process. Bring people that are more tied into it, feel good about it. And it really does have to be the direction. I do think it's ridiculous and stupid to be like, you know, that the purpose you exist is because of AI. And it's like, it's no, it's how does the job get better or what things should get better
It's
because
enablement.
of that? And I think that's really important. The identity, it is not a why, it is a how. And people that can really figure out how to leverage AI in these moments is a big deal. Being able to figure that out. So
One area where you and I connect is that both of our companies existed before AI. There was already a ton of momentum for our respective organizations at the point that it showed up on the scene. And we're seeing this moment where companies are kind of struggling to figure out what to do with it, like legacy companies.
yeah,
Do we bolt it on? Do we rebuild from scratch? Like it's been a kind of a confusing moment, but every company has to figure out how to make the most of it in this moment. And I am incredibly optimistic about what is possible and the internal visioning that we've done around where we want to go. But it does require asking some really big questions and blowing some things up. And that's a non trivial part of the driving force is like this specific critical juncture and moment that we're in, where business as usual isn't going to cut it. There is a real need to rethink, reimagine, kind of step back and look with a fresh set of eyes at familiar problems.
yeah. And I to not get the viewers into the ad nauseum of AI. And it is really cool. I mean, it's fantastic what we do, but I think there's an element where um, you're more or less kind of narrowing it in to saying we have to go find these locations that are the best fit to being able to do it, um, and you just got to have somebody that's got an eyeball for that. So it makes a ton of sense. So what So you mentioned governance and all this stuff. You're
Mm,
clearly still involved, I'm
yeah, of
guessing.
course.
Well, I hope you're still involved. So how do you see your role, with Lead Simple continuing?
Yeah, this is
Or are you riding off onto the sunset? We're not going to see Jordan Moyle ever again.
I am moving to Nigeria, relocating.
Are you gonna you gonna start soliciting people about all this money that you have? And
I'm getting into crypto and
yeah,
moving
it's
to
a
Nigeria.
great call.
of course, I'm still going to be here and be around and be highly involved. And this whole question of governance is a really interesting one and actually really satisfying and stimulating to me. In some ways, it's an area where I'm behind you. You have had much more formal governance because you guys have taken on capital, whereas being largely bootstrapped, some level of investment, but largely bootstrapped, it's meant that our board was just internal, us as founders having casual conversations, no board reports, no quarterlies, no decks, et cetera. Obviously, we're looking at this data on an ongoing basis, but that structure and that muscle organizationally is anemic, and this will be an opportunity to flex there.
And I'm sure it'll be critical as you scale. As painful as it is as a CEO having to sit there and go from I'm just figuring it out, leave me alone, to being like, all right, here's how we're doing and here's the plan, and being able to scale that and create some predictability is like I think like has been a really critical development of mine. And so thinking about how you're going to focus that and create more of a concerted effort and accountability to the organization
Mhm.
in a different way, I think is one critical for, obviously being able to scale it up to where I believe you think it's going to continue to go. Um, and then also, like you said, it's a new way to challenge it. Are are we going to see you in other aspects of life? Are you coming to any of the conferences? It's not like chairmans of the board just roll up. I mean, some conferences you'll see it, not that common. Are you going to be kayaking, going to Nigeria? What are you
Mm.
going to do with all this extra time on your hands?
Yeah, man, it's great. It's fresh, so I am reserving the right to completely change this answer. But from my current vantage point, yes, I'm absolutely going to be around and involved and at events. Maybe not necessarily I'm working a lead simple booth, but I have a lot of life left in me in my entrepreneurial career.
Mm,
I'm 41, 40 over here.
yep.
The idea of retiring right now, big exit, big check, and then I retire, 0% interesting to me right now.
Mm.
I am excited about creating, contributing, making impact, and that's really stimulating to me to think about what that looks like next.
This is such industry in its infancy of
Mm.
maturity curve that it would be
Ooh,
foolish. Yeah, it'd be foolish to think that there's not a lot of fun to be had left.
there's a lot of good work to do.
It maybe fun's the wrong word. um, so I thought about as we were going through this, and we kind of had this idea of potentially me interviewing you on this. I was sitting there thinking, should I make Jordan cry on this? Because I
Wow.
think I probably could. And here's why I'll say that. Um, it's very easy for me to think about the team members in the moments and thinking about 14 years. Again, I've been through 10. And much like, and this is going to sound psychopathic to some people, but I'm going to say it. I'm getting to that age where I can kind of understand and see, potentially the day that I get a call about my parents. Some people have had
Mm,
parents that have,
mm,
and thinking about that moment and having that sadness. And the thing that kind of when I think about that moment, and I had an advisor and a mentor tell me this one time. He says, one day you will be the guy,
mm,
and the next day you will walk in and you are not the guy anymore. And so, have you really thought about your own personal take on nobody has to give a rat's ass what your opinion is? Not that
mhm,
they do, maybe they do, I don't know, but not really. When you go in and shake hands and kiss babies,
mhm,
the customers, you are not the guy anymore.
mhm,
And you've had this baby for 14
mm.
years. Have you had some time to process and really think through what day zero looks like of not being the guy?
Yeah, man, I've thought about it, but my really strong sense is I'm just not gonna know until I'm there. We're coming right up on it. I can see it. It's right there. But my sense is the actual feeling itself has not fully arrived. And I want to open that with welcome arms, but I definitely feel some resistance.
And I didn't close the loop on the weird comment about my parents passing away.
Mm.
But I do think, like, I'm almost mentally scared. I consider myself very mentally resilient. I am mentally scared to even open that thought, to really embrace that moment. And I recognize you're having it some there, but it would also probably be foolish to just wait till like Christmas Day and be like, I'm not going to get excited until that moment
Oh.
because it's
Uh,
probably some extent a mild amount
oh.
of trauma.
Ugh. Something I've always wanted to talk to you about is conflict avoidance.
I'm terrible at it.
Conflict avoidance as a leader. It's been really emasculating to me to realize the ways in which I can be conflict avoidant because my view of self is like, let's go hard charging, kick down the door. And yet I see areas where I'm kind of hedging and avoiding having certain conversations. What I find that that creates for me is anytime when I'm in a mood of like avoidance, it creates more of the thing that I'm attempting to avoid. That's kind of one of my macro reflections from 14 years in the biz.
So basically, if I could TLDR that by avoiding this thought process of the day, it's just going to make it worse.
That's been my experience. That's been my experience. Yeah. So, man, you're just going straight for the jugular here, man. But you did bring up something really personal. When my dad passed away when I was 24, I had so much conscious resistance towards feeling and experiencing the emotions related to that. Like it was a conscious thought of like, I am putting that in the basement, closing the door. We're not looking at that.
Yeah.
And that made the ensuing years, it made the ride so much more rough than if I had just been able to be with it and like really feel it out.
Yeah. And it's hard because it's exciting at the same time. I think that's one of the difficult times. I use that moment of like imagining the loss, right? Like, and I use that thing and it's like, I can do it with my parents. I even have probably a harder time thinking about this, which is mildly psychopathic, like, but um processing that, but it is odd because it's also should be a great moment of joy and excitement, right? It should be. But it's really hard, I'm guessing, after 14 years. Cuz there is a Teams call.
Yeah.
There is the last one.
Yeah.
You don't get to be on them anymore.
Hmm. Getting
What
taken off all the Cal invites.
well, let me ask this question. When you get your last 1 minute
Mm,
of this call, what are
mm.
you telling the team?
Thank you. Thank you for an incredible ride and opportunity and partnership. Thank you for believing. Thank you for being here through all the good and the bad. I'm just so incredibly grateful to have been on this journey with these people.
I don't know why I'm having a harder time with this than you are. I'm sitting there thinking about it. I'm like, gosh, dang, what's Jordan going to say? I don't know if people can, thank goodness, can they fix this in post op? This was something
Dust. It
else.
was dust.
Something else. I think I'm struggling with it more than you are, which is interesting. I'm not even in your world. I talk to your team zero. I don't even know anybody. Like, and I'm imagining that conversation.
Mm,
And I think it's the weird thing. Have you moved houses before?
mhm.
Okay, like what was your first house?
Uh,
Just don't give me an address. Give me like just describe it though.
that I lived in or with my married?
When you got after you got married, the
Yeah.
first home together,
Yeah.
and maybe it was the first home of your kids.
Yeah. Yeah. The first home we were in was a rental home in a, DR Horton type
Yeah.
community
How
built
long did
out.
you live there?
I was there for 2 years.
Okay. Well, and maybe this doesn't hit there. I remember the first home that I bought that I put blood, sweat, and tears into. I bought a short sale
This was
home.
a rental. That's even more loaded.
So I'm wanting this one, but when you lock up the kid, like I want to like this is the thing that I know that's coming is, and this happens multiple times, and so I've moved around plenty, where you'll walk the house
The last time. The final
the
walk.
last time, and And you don't know what to do because it's the last time, but you know
Yeah.
it's the last
It
time.
matters and it's big, but how exactly do I celebrate and annotate this?
Yeah, like you've got a great journey ahead of you. You got some cool things that you're doing. Lead Simple's got some cool things it's doing. It's obviously got an incredible CEO coming in and helping. But I think the whole thing is like I'm imagining that moment, and it's like you are
Mm,
looking inside the room, which is relational to looking inside the Zoom call that you've been on a million times,
right.
and it's the last time you're going to get a look inside
Yeah,
that room again.
totally. The final log off on Slack, the last meeting. Yeah, it's crazy to be like coming up to that and kind of processing the feelings in real time. And what just keeps coming up for me is like, man, open heart, like really receive it, really feel it, really be with it. Don't try and be performative. Don't try and muscle it, and don't try and avoid all the feelings that come up along with it.
Yeah. Well, so you got me thinking of what I would say on the last call. Well, I got me thinking by asking you. I was like, what the heck would I say? But I don't have to go there because I'm not dealing with it. Um,
But I feel all the feelings that are going to come up for you when you get there.
oh my goodness, I'm gonna be a mess. I'm gonna have to pre-record it.
Oh,
7 takes.
yeah.
Um, well, so that's obviously the side of just again, I want the keys still. I'd like to have access to the house. I know it's not going to be mine anymore, and you get it.
I
You
might
don't
drive
get it.
back to the neighborhood.
You might hit the neighborhood up every kind occasionally, check it out. Hey, do you remember that flower bed that's uneven? Yeah, I built that. um, but on the flip side of that, it's obviously an exciting moment. It's an exciting moment for
Yeah.
you. It's an exciting
Whoa.
moment for the team.
Whoa.
Do you have something that you are going to do, like wake up at 9 p.m. on a Tuesday sort of celebration?
9 p.m. on a Tuesday, dude. I'm not that guy. I told my wife I want the first month after this to be deep and intense. I don't know why, but that's my feeling, my sensibility. And she turned to me and she was like, "Oh, so just like a regular month?" I was like, yeah." You gotta embrace the animal that you are. And for me, wake up on a Tuesday, on a vacation, dope, awesome. Waking up with, food stains on my shirt and like beers on the dresser at 9 a.m. No, not
That actually sounds great. It sounds great. Depends on what kind of food. Is it ribs? Like rib stains?
not my, not my dream. I am going to pause, take a bit, reflect, get healthy, feel good, focus on baseline, make sure family's good, and then invariably I'm gonna start sprinting at something new.
Oh my goodness. Do you know what that is?
I I do not. I do not have no big reveal. I don't know what it is. I got a million ideas, but I mean, I'm waiting to really fully lean into those possibilities and that iteration post.
And you gotta, and I'm imagining, I don't subscribe to the idea that you have to be super passionate about something when you start, because I think entrepreneurs will sometimes go into something that's really dumb, but they're passionate about, that doesn't make any money or doesn't have like real world value. Whereas finding a real problem with real world value and then developing the passion is really
Mhm.
critical.
Mm.
And doing it in that order is probably significantly better. But I think giving yourself space and time to just allow the brain muscles to kind of relax and
Mhm.
not be
Oh,
focused on one
man.
problem can allow you to open up and go, what is the new ones that is now, because I was so focused, was not obvious, but now is obvious?
I don't know about you, man, but finding the forest from the trees as an operator takes a lot of intent.
Mm.
Really have to exert effort to have some perspective around it. So having been in this as a constant waking reality for 14 years, yeah, I do need a couple weeks. I probably need a month to step back and reflect and like kind of put a bow around that specific element of the journey, and that feels good and right and clean to me as a prerequisite for starting a new chapter.
That is such an unsexy post handing the baton that I've ever heard. Just for the record, for those of you who want
That's
something
me,
actually
baby.
satisfying, I'm going to do at least 3 to 6 months. I'm going to be absolute lazy couch potato. I will have all the stains. My wife will start calling friends and asking them to have an intervention with me to get out of the house. I'm gonna be the
Can you
laziest
take Ray on a play date?
like, yeah, like there's gonna be real problems. Are you okay? I'm fine. I'm having a great time. Be like, something's wrong with him.
Yeah.
I'm gonna really do it upright. But it sounds like you're still charged up and ready enough. Take take the learning, get to decompress a little bit, make sure the family's in a good spot and just like be ready to jump in again very soon, which good for you.
Ray, there's these different types of operators and entrepreneurs or people that make money, right? In the world of making
Who?
money, in the world
Say it again?
of making money,
Slower?
this concept, there's a lot of different ways to make it. Think about a Warren Buffett, right?
Mhm.
As far as you can get from ops, asset allocator, no ops. You got the guy who makes the money with one op. This is another form of wisdom. Is like pick one op, stay in it for as long as possible. That's how maximal wealth is built. You get another flavor is starting a bunch of things. A Richard Branson, Virgin, right? 200 plus companies. My wiring, my DNA. I like starting things. I find it intensely satisfying to create and to build. And I have loved the last 5.5 years, but I am also ready to birth something new.
If there was something very distinctly different about you and I, it is this.
I think so. I think
I
so.
tell people I am one and done.
Riding one
I
horse,
Why on earth would you do this again?
repeat trauma.
Yeah, like, dude, if ever there was a book written, it'll be 75% the pain and sadness, and then 25. I jest.
You know what? So you say that, and I hear it, and I believe it for you. But as your friend, I am so intensely curious to watch that movie. Round two. Round two.
I don't have to. I don't have to. I don't even have to think about it. I'm not even going to go there. It's like, but
But
yeah.
think about taking the cumulative wisdom and learning and experiences with a blank slate. What would be what would be what would be what would be?
What would be? Well, fortunately, I'm the host and you're not, so we don't get
Okay.
asked these questions. Um,
I just thought like if we both did it, bro, like it could be.
I am not retiring.
The rumors are false.
The rumors are false.
Ray's not going
I'm
anywhere.
I'm having so much fun. I'm kidding. Actually, I'm having so much fun. What's Morse code for SOS again?
Yeah, exactly. Blink twice. Startups are fun.
No, you know what? I've talked a lot more openly about it. I think there's an element where you have everybody on this planet has God-given gift and abilities, and I think a lot of people have a purpose. And I think that when you get aligned with your purpose in this world, that's where your true enjoyment, fulfillment, happiness comes
An
from.
impact.
And I've been talking to my kids lately because I work a lot. Not as much as when I did when I started, thank goodness, but even like being out here in Austin, my kid
Yeah.
lost his first tooth today.
Uh,
And he's been waiting for this moment. As a matter of fact, my wife called me on, video call, and my son was super proud, and I know he wishes I was there. I'm super proud of you, buddy. This is awesome. And then my daughter's asking why I'm not
Yeah.
here, and I'm like, I am very fortunate to get to do what I do, and I feel like it's a blessing and a privilege to be able to do it. And the whole reason, like, I kind of say this is like I jest about the thing, but it's like, what else would you do? And you're meant to. And so I think just like I jest about being one and done, which I 100% believe that will be the case. We'll see how well this ages. um, but I think the fact that you know yourself so well and getting to see what you've accomplished in the past and being like, yeah, this is me. I know me by now. 41 years, you get to learn some things and be like, I'm excited about that. And that's where my new energy, the new juice comes from.
I think that's part of aging and wisdom is like just learning to accept what is. Look in the mirror and be like, you know what? There's a clear pattern here. It's been happening for decades now.
Yeah.
Probably good to just acknowledge like that's me. These are my preferences. These are my wiring. And these are not areas of right wrong.
Yeah.
It's interesting hearing you describe just some of the difference between us. You have gone so deep on one problem,
Right.
you have made the stakes so high to follow you down this rabbit hole of this one area of maintenance operations. That is a beautiful and distinct play. I've done something different. I've gone wider. Like, this problem, awesome. Let's hit it. Let's make a huge impact. What's the adjacent problem? What's the one related to that?
Yeah.
That to me has been really satisfying. There is no right or wrong here,
Mm,
but temperament and interest and passion is a prerequisite for stamina, and the
yeah.
only way to win in this game is to apply stamina.
Yeah. Great call out. I got a interesting question when you because I'm pretty sure I don't think I've ever because I've almost like had to like stay away from that language about I just want to be done because I'm worried if I say it out loud, somebody else will say you should be, and then I might actually quit. And then so I've always like been conditioned over the last 10 years to just never say anything like
Don't
that.
complain.
But I'm curious about when you went and talked with your wife about this with the
Mm,
first time
mm,
with a real conviction, like, hey,
Oh
for
yeah.
real.
This isn't me complaining. Like, no, I'm serious.
Yeah, I'm done. So what was the reaction with that?
Yeah, the reaction, the reaction. I have not said I wanted to be done before, and I don't even use the language "I quit." It's more just like, God, that was hard. Like, oh, that left a mark.
Yeah,
Liam.
yeah, yeah.
So this was the first time she'd ever heard me saying, "I'm, I'm making the change," and her response was, "Okay, interesting. I want to like process with that. Are you sure? Tell me why. What are the reasons?" And it took a minute to sit with that, but that's an idea in abstract. What landed the plane and the connection was her interactions with Win, the incoming CEO,
Yeah.
and being able to have some FaceTime and get to
Mm.
know him and hear his story and see what he's been able to build already at LeadSimple. That was a huge part of the
Ooh,
conversation.
interesting. You can't leave, and then oh, actually, this makes a ton of sense. I mean, don't oversell it, honey.
Yeah. Hey, let's not overdo the praise
Oh,
here.
yeah, why didn't you do this years ago? Like, dial it down, dear. Dial it down.
I finally see a path for success.
You know, the other one I'm really, curious about is I think, like, you know, I don't think there's been fortunate to work with a lot of melders in the past, and I've gotten to work with some key ones over the past, like, 5 to 6 years that have been pretty close and integral into the growth.
Yeah.
And I do not think I will ever be applauded as the fun CEO to work for.
Mm,
I think I hope, truly hope they will say, I learned so much while I was there. It
mm,
was hard, but learned so much.
mm.
And so I don't know how your exit will be perceived. I'm scared to think about what mine will be. Like, I think there might be a little too much confetti and balloons, but how do you feel like the team's reaction has been?
Positive. The reaction has been, yeah, that
Mm,
makes sense because they've had the experience of working with Win for the last year. So that kind of context dramatically informs the feeling. A try before you buy experience is rare, but when you can have it, it's really satisfying.
Boy, what a what a great validation of the right person when both your spouse feels really good about it and gets it, and then your team like feels good about it too.
And yet the kind of thing you're joking about of like, hey, you know, also I was pretty good.
Right,
Like,
right, right.
so yeah, there's mixed emotions, but net, it's what is best for the company.
Yeah, and that's really hard. You know, yeah, I could go into some stories. I won't go super public on this, but I think it takes an insanely mature and aware individual to know when it's that time because we all got to watch Brett Favre go to the
Mm,
Minnesota Vikings.
getting punchy.
We got to watch Michael Jordan go play baseball.
Uh-huh.
It just and it's like
George Foreman.
George Foreman. Well, I forget what he did. You go back in the ring?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
Oh
George
yeah.
Foreman. Um, and it's like you recognize a competitor and you know exactly why they're doing it, and you're like, dude, I get it.
Mm.
But just Tom Brady nailed it.
He didn't, I mean, he's the GOAT.
He's the GOAT because he ended at the right spot. Like,
while pushing it in incredible length and duration.
yeah. So I do think I've kind of was curious how the team is, and I'm interested on the feedback once this airs. Obviously, the team will do it, but I'm guessing there is probably an element of sitting there. You want a little bit of a panic just for the egotistical version, but for the business sake, you sit there and go, please, this is, yeah. You know, you want the validation that it's the right call from him being like, yeah, totally. He's way better. No, I'm kidding.
I think that I anticipate people to see it and to make sense, but also there's natural concerns around, what does this mean? How will things be different, et cetera? And that makes sense.
Mhm.
It makes sense that when a business is sold or when a new CEO comes in, that there's going to be a shakeup and there's going to be a resetting. And what's required at that point is vision.
Yeah.
Vision about the future. Where are we headed? What are we
Oh man.
doing? And that is the plane to land. And I have a great degree of confidence in Wynn's ability to do that.
Yeah. It sounds like honestly, I've not gotten to meet him. I mean, I've met very few of your team members in the past, but just based on the talks, based on the validation you have on some of the things with the leadership, and as well as your wife, who's been also on the ride for 14 years,
Mhm.
to to uh, it seems like all those data points sound like everybody feels very comfortable about this. And there's nothing better than
Mm,
a try
mm,
before you buy. This
mm.
isn't a CEO getting pulled out.
Yeah, you and I've had various conversations over the years about how to solve this problem or that problem, and if you think about the other options on the menu, like starting an executive search committee, blah blah blah, that's just a very different flavor of solving for it, and I don't know that we would have even got there, but
Yeah.
being able to promote from within, work with that person, have a year of common shared experience, see results, watch the process, man, that's been a huge gift.
Oh, man. Yeah. That makes a ton of sense. What's the advice for other entrepreneurs as they're navigating? If you could go back in time and like coach yourself on preparing for this moment, learning how to be
Hmm.
self-aware for this moment, like what's kind of the thing that you would coach the younger, earlier version on yourself to make sure that you still ended up at the same plane landing as you're at today?
Man, I think one of the things that comes to mind is just as less gripping. Like if I could go back and do it over, do it all over again, hindsight being 2020, less gripping in general would be a big theme for me. And gripping for me is like when you tensed up. You're doing the hard thing, but the way you're going about it, like your body language and everything about it says, I am doing a hard thing as opposed to
Mm,
being a little looser, a little lighter with it. I don't do my best work when I'm in a place of tensed up gripping
mm,
and that can produce stamina and endurance, but the quality of decision making isn't high, and the ride is just a lot rougher.
is it possible to actually do that, by the way? To
Mhm.
not grip so hard?
I've definitely had moments where I felt like I was able to hold that, and many moments where I wasn't.
I was gonna say I don't like when you feel like in some of those more challenging things, it's like, yeah, no, don't worry.
Mhm. Why didn't I think of that?
Thank you. Wow. This is why you're CEO. You think of things like that.
There's there's yeah, there's something zen about it, everybody's in and out with it, but
Yeah.
as a thing to aspire to.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, I personally am very appreciative of what you've done for this industry. I do believe that property management is in its very early innings.
Mhm,
Posted,
mhm,
a couple days ago. I think we're in the second inning.
mm,
This is actually the first probably 4 or 5 innings is probably going to be the hardest by far. And so property managers is a relatively new industry, and so to have a lot of people come solve the problems when the problems are the hardest
mhm,
is something that I think we all owe a great deal of gratitude for the people figuring it out, the operators, the property managers, the vendors who've come before and figured out how to do it. So I think I don't speak for behalf of the industry, but I'm guessing I speak for a decent portion of them who are just very appreciative to what you've done in property management for us, leading the charge, showing us what a vendor can look like and how we engage and learn and facilitate in the industry. So just wanted to say thank you for your contribution so far.
Thank you, brother. I received that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
good. And I am your far more superior podcast host, Ray Hespen, signing off for my last time as host on the Profitable Property Management Podcast Show.
Well, let me just say before we end, let me say thank you for being a great friend and confidant and ally. And this journey is challenging
Mm,
and it takes you to some rough spots, and having other people on the journey with me, it's made a huge difference, man. So thanks for being my brother in arms here.
well, received as well. Thank you.
Until next time. Yeah.
Uh,